All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Coffee Q&A, your daily dose of coffee Q&A here on the OnoCoffee channel, where we do this live stream most Monday through Fridays, 10 a.m. Eastern. How's it going? Back again. We are here looking at something that a friend of mine, Matt, gave to me a little while ago. He was at Hershey Park, and as you know, Hershey, or you may not know this, but Hershey Park, of course, has a Hershey store that has Hershey chocolates that are kind of inspired from around the world. Like evidently, you know, in the world of Hershey, they release different products in different parts of the world. And if you go to their Hershey Park shop, they have these pieces, they have these items there. So it's a place for you to go and try different things. And he got this for me. These are Hershey Nuggets, part of their globally inspired flavor selection. And I thought it'd be kind of interesting. Hershey's Nuggets Cafe Espresso. Now, this is similar. I'm presuming that this is similar to a product that is from Italy. Now, if you're familiar with these Hershey Nuggets, you can kind of see the illustration. It looks like there's some kind of filler. Hershey Nuggets are these like larger kisses. They're kind of fancy kisses, I think. Like I had a bag of them once where they're just basically like solid chocolate. And then if you want the almond ones, they put almond. And this one, they put like some kind of filler. And so it says here, Cafe Espresso, dark chocolate with Cafe Espresso flavored fillings. I wonder, is this even going to be good? Kent, good morning to you, or good afternoon. And Naomi, good morning to you as well. So 10 ounces, and yeah, but like I said, this is something that is similar to, or I'm presuming is similar to something called pocket coffee. This is a pocket coffee from Italy. My friend picks these up when he's in Italy. This is by a company called Ferrero, which are the same company that does the Roca chocolates. And they have two different types of these pocket coffees. And we'll probably do a tasting of these in a separate episode. But as you can see, there is chocolate espresso boxes. Is that right? Or they're just boxes of espresso. This is their summer. They actually have two products. There's one product that is chocolate encapsulated espresso that is for the winter time, and then there's this summertime version because it gets warmer. And you know, these Italians, like here in America, we just do what we want to do, right? We don't care. Like if we need to use, I don't know, some kind of scientific formulation to preserve whatever we need to preserve, we're going to preserve, right? If we need to fill with preservatives, no problem. We're going to go that way. In Italy, evidently, they have, we only do this in the winter and we only do this in summer. So, but this, I'm presuming they have this year round, but let's see here. It says, experience worldly flavors with Hershey's Nuggets. Here's the paper. Carefully crafted with quality ingredients, this collection brings together globally inspired nugget flavors from around the world. Let the journey begin, bon voyage. But does it tell us where? Okay, so manufactured in Mexico. Huh, you'd think they make it in Pennsylvania. They still have big manufacturing in Pennsylvania. And globally, but it doesn't say where in the globe. I'm going to presume this must be from some part of like Europe, right? But you can see here, so we're going to get into this, and then we're going to compare it to see how does it compare to just regular espresso, right? Like, and will it even be better with espresso, or is it just better to have espresso and then eat chocolate along with it? Which is the better combination, right? You know, maybe if you're really pinched, this is good. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know what you think. Do you eat chocolate with your espresso? Or do you have lemon with your espresso? Like some people like lemon, some people like chocolate, some people like little like baked cookies or something like that. I just like espresso straight. That's how I tend to have it. Power Plant says, come on, brewed coffee today. No brewed coffee today, just espresso. So we've got this. We're going to try this out and see what we got. Let's have a tasting of it. Where's my scissors? They kind of cut them up. Well, they not cut it up, but they have this label. I tend to be relatively anal about my box openings. I like to preserve the boxes for some reason. Even like when I was a child, at Christmas time, like I would want to like open the wrappers really nicely. All right, Let's see here. Oh, there they are. All right, Hershey Nuggets. Can we get it deeper? A little bit. So I'm going to open this up here. And all right, it just says Hershey's. Nothing too exciting. Just regular old Hershey's there. How does it look on the inside? Huh, there's a filling. Interesting. All right, let's see what it tastes like. Now, historically, I tend to be less enthusiastic about coffee flavored stuff because invariably most coffee flavored products is flavored using low quality coffees, and this one is not necessarily that different. Oh, here, look, it broke open here. Right, like the quality of the espresso could be, or the quality of the coffee that's in it could be a lot better, but all right, well, that's all I have for today. Thanks for tuning in. No, I'm just kidding. All right, let's make some coffee here to see, just so we can see. All right, let's go here to the espresso machine. And oh, we need to rinse this out. So how was your weekend? Anything good happen? Anything interesting? I don't know what I did this weekend. Already it's a blur. Oops. I'm going to pull a first shot here, and we're just going to see where it is. I used this setup since the last time we made espresso, which was quite a while ago. I don't know if we made it last week or not. But I'm going to see where the settings are. Just a quick round up there. And then oh, that doesn't look too bad. Huh, I'm surprised. All right, so you notice how it just started to flow a little bit faster. That's part of the reason why I stopped there. I felt that we're getting a little bit closer. The time had seemed good. The volume seemed good. The flow seemed good, but then suddenly it started, and I was getting ready to stop it, but then suddenly it started to go faster because it started to get looser. That's made sure that we stopped it at that point. And actually, this shot looks not terrible for a shot that we haven't made coffee with in a long time. Power Plant says, started my cold brew project again. I pretty much have it. What is this cold brew project? Tell me more about it. Tell me more about your details. When you say cold brew project, what does that mean, cold brew project? But yes, relatively even. We're not getting a lot of flecking or anything like that, but just relatively even brown. And then remember I said it started to go faster? So you can see kind of where it started to go faster there. Those little like lighter spots. Not quite blonde, but definitely a shade lighter than the brown that we have. Those are kind of like indications that it's just talking. It's just talking. It's really just talking. Now, one of the things I think about is that, like I said, I haven't touched this since the last episode that we made Espresso on, which I don't necessarily recall when that was. We haven't done a live stream since Thursday. It's now Tuesday. So it's several days, at minimum, several days, like 5-6 days. And as you saw, I didn't change anything. And I haven't changed anything since we used it last. Actually, it has been plugged in. Actually, we obviously, The last show we did the brewed coffee with the decaf. So it had to be before that. So almost a week later. And the shot itself looks very solid. Let's have a taste. Could be better, right? It's still got good richness, good flavor, good body, but I think it's a little bit on the brighter side this time. Probably pull another one to see where we're going with it, see how that turned up. But what I'm leading by this is I think people spend too much time thinking about or concerning themselves about dialing in. Like dialing in is such an important aspect of what all these baristas talk about. You got to dial in. You got to dial. I really don't believe you need to dial in very much at all. Like maybe a shot or two. Like this one, I wouldn't change the grind at all. Like at this pull looks good, solid. Like I would want to maybe change the amount of coffee, maybe add a little bit more, but I wouldn't necessarily do much else. Power Plant says, getting my cold brew to a point where I can weigh and time everything so it comes out the same. Ah, gotcha. Oh, yeah, cold brew. We should start talking more about cold brew since summertime is coming. And today we're going to hit 80 here in Maryland. It's going to be the warmest day of 2026. I've reverted back to shorts finally, so I'm very pleased. Yeah, that does not go well. Ooh. There's definitely a brightness to this coffee today that's different than it has been in the past. Could be because it's a little bit older, but also that brightness clashes sharply with this espresso. That's not nice. Let's go and have a look at our puck here. So we got good impaction, right? Good surface, very smooth, very dry looking. I'm pressing pretty hard, right? But there's just small indentation. So that's a nice setup. I was catching it. And it's nice and warm. It looks relatively dry, right? What you want is we'd like to have pucks that hold together like this. Now they won't hold together forever, but once you knock it out, it's nice and tight, compacted, and holds together like a cookie. We tend to think of these as cookies. You can kind of see the hydration in there. That doesn't really tell us too much. I mean, it could be that this coffee did not get fully saturated. But if we look at the cross section, it looks all even tone. So maybe just a little bit right here at the very, very edges. But not enough necessarily to be concerned about. All right, let's try again. Okay, we'll rinse that out. Now I flick it out because sometimes there's coffee residue there. So you just want to get rid of it. And I keep a trash can right below this because it's easier to maneuver everything around. All right, let's try it again. Now, in this particular grinder, I am moving the portafilter around a little bit because the way that it falls out of the spout, it tends, if I have it all the way forward, it'll just fall kind of here. So I just kind of move it around a little bit just to get a little bit more distribution. And now you can see, like in other times we've had it, so there's higher mounds here and then lower here. Now it's kind of spread around. It's kind of got this ridge line here, a little bit lower there, a little bit lower there. No real bouldering, like a slight almost boulder there, but like today we don't have as much static, I guess because we have a heavier moisture in the air. So that's a nicer thing. So we're just going to come around. I'm just going to sweep around now and just push it around. This one, I'm not necessarily having to do so much concentration as far as how I'm going to do it. Like when we have bigger valleys and higher mounds, then I really have to pay attention to how I'm going to move it around. But in this case, I just want to move it around to get like even distribution over the coffee, over the basket, right? So just kind of have that like there. And I'm going to leave that little bit of mound here because I like to use that as a compacting aid. All right, there we go. Not bad. Not bad. Flush the group head. And then we'll do another brew. Oh, it looks pretty good. Starting off well. Set that down. Oh, a little bit fast now. A little bit thin. I don't know if you saw that here, but it was running a little bit thin, so I'm going to stop now. Now, I'm really just stopping. I'm just stopping because I feel like I want to stop. And you can see there's a little bit of like lightness right there. So it looks similar to the last one. And we'll see how it is to see what it's like. Powerplant says, I buy a supermarket whole bean from UCC for consistency. Have it when I can add water or milk for a nice morning cuppa. I'm curious to know why you're in Japan. So, like, are there no local roasters to you where you are that you like, or do you find that they're more inconsistent? Naomi says cold brew is really nice for the warmer. Yeah, we do need to think about cold brew. So we're gonna start thinking more about cold brew. I'm glad you brought that up. All right, let's look here. This hot brew. So relatively nice brown, a little bit blonding there. Right, so let's see how that turns out. Last one was a little bit more, to me, it was a little bit brighter, which I'm not really a big fan of. There's that same brightness. That same brightness is there. I wonder if we can pound that brightness out by increasing the quantity of coffee. Powerplant says, I buy it because it's cheap and fine taste. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, we'll definitely start doing cold brew now. Actually, I've been having a little bit. There's sometimes I sit around and I'm like, there's moments when I sit around and I think, I can have topics until I'm dead. And then there are moments when I'm like, I have no idea what to do. It's like there are like moments where you just kind of like lose all like your knowledge. Just like, I have no idea what to do. Okay, but this is helpful. This is helpful. Powerplant says, I don't need to use specially for cold brew. For me, it is fine. Sometimes I will have it with sweeteners and sometimes straight. Ah, gotcha. Naomi says, I bought a Takea brand cold brew maker, and I just coarsely grind 1 cup of whole beans and let it sit in the fridge for 24 hours. Add water or milk as needed. I mean, that's a great way to go. You don't have to necessarily chill it. I mean, you can. There's nothing wrong by chilling. I think chilling helps to slow down the action, right? The colder it is, the slower the action, right? So if you want a little more gentle kind of extraction, the colder it is, the better. I'm just thinking about maybe we'll do a video about the cold brew towers. I have these towers that we use for cold brew at Spro that are very big, and they're very like, it's what I used for we use it for a commercial, and maybe we'll use those. We'll do a video about that. And Powerplant says it is a very versatile drink. What kind of ratio are you using for your UCC? I've seen the UCC at like here we have the Japanese markets and they have UCC brand stuff there. I'm always tempted to buy it to try it for the show. Like they have UCC, like what the different like instant coffees. I'm always like, but they're kind of pricey. I'm like, oh, do I want to spend the money? Do I want to spend the money for one episode? All right, let's see how this chocolate does again. Cold brew tower, says Naomi. Are they huge? They are huge. They brew a gallon a gallon of concentrate at a time. So it's like 2 gallons total. We'll do that. I'm going to do a future episode where I will set that up and show you how we make it. Because I think that would be pretty interesting. Then I'll just have to give the coffee to my friend. Because I won't drink that much coffee. But that one we'll do over 2 days. I think we'll do that over 2 days. So that we have, today's Tuesday. Oh. It's not bad. This chocolate is not bad. But I say that because I'm just a chocolate fiend. Like, I just want to eat chocolate. Like, I eat chocolate a lot. Like, I feel like I eat chocolate in the last year with more reckless abandon than ever. Like, I just don't care now. I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to eat as much. If I feel like having chocolate, I'm going to go to buy chocolate. I go to Walgreens like maybe once every 2 weeks. And they have like specials at Walgreens, right? Like they have like a bag, a 10-ounce bag of Hershey Kisses is like $7 to $8 normally. But sometimes they'll have specials. Buy 2 bags for $6, and I'll buy both bags, and I will sit there and I will eat as much as I want. Like, just remember when you were a kid and like you were a child and you're like eating candy, like if your mom didn't like stop you, you would eat the whole candy bag. Like, that's kind of sometimes how I feel. I'm like just like I just want to eat as much Hershey Kisses as I want to eat, and I will just sit there eat it. I had one day I was at a store. Oh, Tractor Supply. Never go to Tractor Supply. Tractor Supply is the worst place to go because Tractor Supply, they only have like the world's worst food. Like they only have these snacks and they're terrible. The last time I was at Tractor Supply, you know those orange candy wedges, the little gummy wedges that are coated in sugar that are like shaped like orange slices? I pounded a whole bag of those. I was like, there it is. I used to love them when I was a child, so I bought a bag. I was like, and the problem is you're driving. I'm driving, right? Because Tractor Supply is like 45 minutes away. So I'm driving. So it's like, before you know it, the bag's gone. It's terrible. It's terrible. In Korea, I can buy soup bags that are used to make stocks and broths. The ones in Japan are not big enough. I use a soup bag that is about the same size as in B5. Oh, that also reminds me. We should do. Oh, I don't know where my might have to wait another week or two, but or a couple weeks. But what if I do these? Like I'm thinking about like how we do commercial brewing, but the commercial brewing is kind of like ridiculous. Like I do have a brewer, 5-gallon brewer that makes 10 gallons of ready RTU. What we call RTU is ready to use. That's crazy. And we used to make that like all the time because like we just didn't have enough. Like the towers I'm going to show you this week are gallon. They can produce a gallon. Is that right? A gallon? I'm gonna have to recalculate. I'm gonna have to look at my notes and recalculate. This is the problem of like not doing coffee professionally, on a regular basis in a retail environment daily, is that you forget. Like, I think we use 256 grams of coffee. Maybe it's only like, no, it's RT. I think we brew it as RTU. We don't brew it as concentrate. So brew it as RTU. And then we do 2 batches a day. So it takes about 12 hours. So yeah, something like that. Something like that. I'm going to research it. I can coarse ground, says power plant, stick it in the bag, and then the bag into a glass carafe. That is about 1.5 liters. Okay. So a little bit smaller. Okay. Sorry. When I think about brewing cold brew, like just because of my doing it professionally, it's like when people, My friends will make these little containers for their house, right? Little like, whatever carafe size. And I'm just like, why would you like I'm just like, God, that's like a lot of work for like no. And I know it's only for you. Like I know I get that, but I'm always like, because of the work involved, it's like I might as well make 2 gallons instead of one. But that of course is out of control. I realize that. It's a sickness. It's a sickness. My cold brew comes out so chocolatey and rich. Love it, actually. Oh, that sounds delicious. That does sound delicious. And he always says, I recently tasted milk chocolate and it just tasted like sugar. Oh, no real. Oh, that's disappointing. What brand was this? What's going on? Well, but you're in the South now. Like the South is all about sweet, right? Like if you get the tea, it's just sweet. Like, man. And I grew up drinking sweet tea. I can't really do it anymore. Like it's too sweet. Like that, especially Southern style tea. Like, whoa. Because I switched to like unsweetened tea many, many decades ago. And I really love it. Like I love sweet tea. I love unsweetened tea. It's just lovely. But man, the sweet stuff can be like brutal. If I go to like it's been years since I've been there, but if I go to Chick-fil-A and inadvertently they give me the sweetened tea, like it's like power plant says when you wake up to 80 degrees Fahrenheit with 92 degrees humidity, hot coffee is less appealing. This is said by a true American. Because I think it's so funny. Like here in America, we tend to think that way. We're like, it's hot weather, we need cold beverage. But like I talk to European guys that I know, and they're like, yeah, why would I drink cold coffee? Huh? What are you talking about? Why would I drink cold tea? Huh? Because it's hot, dude. It's like, yeah, it's hot. It's a cooling effect to drink. Evidently, it's a cooling effect to drink hot liquids in hot weather. And I'm like, but I grew up in America, so I'm just like, that's just ridiculous. Just give me ice. And it's because those people in Europe, they don't have ice. You guys, I don't know what's going on with that, but what's up with no ice, right? Like you guys don't like ice. Coca-Cola should be cold, like burning your gut cold. You go to London, you're like, can I have Coke cold? Naomi says, you had me at chocolate. Which UCC coffee are you using? Oh, yeah, let us know. Let us know. The Indonesian one that is roasted medium dark. So that's in whole bean form? Will I be down? I was thinking, there's a bonsai meet this weekend, but I have another event to attend instead of that. So I can't go. Because if I go to the bonsai meet, which is down in Virginia, then it takes me on a path that I could stop by the Japanese market. But the other meat is like completely in the countryside, so that there's no Japanese, nothing out that way. Powerplant says Bojangles tea, good stuff. Man, there's no Bojangles near me. No Bojangles near this. It's far. Like you got to drive far, like an hour plus, I think, to get. Like where I live, there's no Bojangles. Not within like striking distance. And I mean, like you got to be able to drive. More than half an hour is not striking distance, right? Like if you got to drive, you got to drive. Like Jollibee is like 45 minutes to an hour away. Bojangles, at least an hour. Waffle House, at least 45 minutes, right? Like these are like places that I would like to eat at more, but it's like just a little bit too far. Just a little bit too far. Like even KFC, where I live, KFC is a good 25 minutes away. It's like I very rarely will get KFC because it's just inconvenient enough. Like it's like Naomi says, I prefer dark chocolate and I don't drink sweet tea here. It's like drinking, yeah, it's very sweet. I can imagine down in Arkansas, crazy. How are you adjusting, by the way, to the South? Oh, Alabama. Roll Tide. That's right. It's not Arkansas. I'm on the cusp city, so it's kind of like, I don't know. What is the difference? Europe does not get hot. That's a good point. They freak out when it's 90. That is a good point. That is a good point. Like you go to like some parts of Europe and you're like, it's kind of cold here. But I gotta say, but Italy does get hot. Like I've been in Italy in the summer, and it's like, okay, this is fairly warm. It's not like you're in like where Kent is. Kent's, I'm thinking summer times. What do you get? Maybe 80, 85. What would be like? You never like Kent. You guys never get to like 30, right? Like that's like you people be like, "Ooh, we're melting here. We're like the fjords are melting, and we're like underwater now." Naomi says, even in the blasting heat, humidity of Okinawa, I still had hot coffee in the morning. I think a lot of people. I think the hot weather, cold drinks is really much more of an American thing. Like I don't know what it is about American like cuisine or whatever our preferences. Like I don't know, but we just kind of like yeah. For me, it's like I never really think about drinking. Like I would never drink hot tea, like hot tea in the summer. That's crazy. I just want to have iced tea. Give me iced tea. I don't take iced tea most days. Like I don't drink iced tea now because you know what? Honestly, takes a lot of preparation. Like I have to sit there and think. I would like to have iced tea either later today, which I probably should do, or tomorrow. And then I have to prepare the tea because you know what? I'm like one of those guys that wants to like brew the tea, and I want it to be cool. So I want to like now that we're getting warm, I'm like, oh, I would like to do sun tea. So you put the tea in a pot or in a bowl or in something and you put it in the sun and you let it steep. Oh, maybe we could do that today because we're getting 80. Maybe I'll do that after this. I got some lychee black tea, Chinese lychee black, cheap stuff. I drink cheap stuff for the most part. When I lived in Santa, we had 2 weeks over 120. Oof, my God, that's crazy. I didn't know. I never realized that Sacramento got that hot in the at all. And I know other parts of California get that hot, but I never thought Sacramento got that because I always think I've only been to Sacramento once, but I always think of Sacramento as kind of like San Francisco, right? Because that latitude thing. But like I realize it's different. But because I remember one time we were in California, we were in San Francisco, 2002. I was in San Francisco. My friend was getting married. She for whatever reason she's having her wedding there. She doesn't live there, but she got her wedding there. And I was crushing on her sister, so I was like, I gotta go to the wedding. But I'm at the wedding, right? I arrived, and the day or two before the wedding, maybe 2 days before the wedding, so I'm like cruising around San Francisco, and I'm from the East Coast, right? So here, if we have 85-degree weather, it's usually accompanied by 90% humidity, so just dreadful to be outside. You're just like in San Francisco that summer. It was August, right? 85 degrees, cool breezes. Like for someone like me from Maryland, it's like perfection. It's like the best combination of warmth and cooler warmth, but also like low humidity. Like it was just brilliant. I was like, God, this is brilliant. And I'm going around. I'm going to meet a friend of mine who lives there too, right? And I'm cruising around. I'm visiting like different like cafes and different like restaurants and like cigar shops. And I'm like stopping in and like checking things out. And everywhere that I went, people are like, "Hey, how you doing, man? I'm good." And they're super concerned, right? These San Francisco people, they're so nice, right? They're super concerned. They're like, "You doing all right?" Yeah, because there's a point where it's like, "Hey, how you doing?" I go, "Good," but then there's a point where they're like, "You doing okay?" And you're like, "That's a little bit weird." Like, yeah, because it's a heat wave. I was like, "A heat wave?" I was like, "Heat wave? You call this a heat wave?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's a heat wave. You doing all right? Because you know, take it easy. Don't get too crazy out there." So, and I'm thinking, man, this is like brilliant weather to me. Like this is the weather I live for. Like it's perfection. But they're like, it's a heat wave. I was like, really, God? And I found that out the next day, or the wedding day, because as we're having the wedding's in the morning, and then the reception's in Sausalito. So we go to the wedding, beautiful weather, perfect, same thing. And then we jump on a private ferry that they hired to take us to Sausalito across the bay. And as we're going across the bay, you see this like bank of like fog. And I'm on the deck of this ferry. I'm like, I'm gonna check it out. Like I'm enjoying the sun, the warmth, it's beautiful. And I see this like, whoa, look at this fog. Like this is crazy looking. Like it's like I'm on the Starship Enterprise, and or I'm on not the Starship Enterprise, but I'm on the Reliant. Is it not the Reliant? But I'm on the Excelsior, and I'm Captain Sulu. And here is this wave from Praxis coming at us. Right, that's exactly what it looked like. I'm like, oh my God. And you hit this and it's bitterly freezing. Like you're like, God, it's cold and I'm wet. And it was just misery. But I was like, wow, man, it really is true. Like that whole, like the coldest summer was the coldest winter was the summer I spent in San Francisco. Totally got that at that point. Nights in the mid 90s. Oh, that's not nice. That's not nice. You need to have air conditioning in that. Ken says, we're lucky if we get a couple days of 90 degree. Oh, no, 90 degrees days. Oh, really? It does get that hot. Okay. I would be in hog heaven, says Power Plant. 80 is like a good summer day. 80 is good. That's good. 80 is good, but 80 is not so good after you've had like a month or two of like 80 to 90 degree weather. Then you get down to 75. Like right now, today is supposed to be like pushing 79, 80 here. And it's going to be pretty warm. Like I'm going to be like, oh, back into shorts and t-shirts again. It's like fantastic, right? And it's going to feel pretty warm. But like 2 months from now, if we dip down to 75, 79, 78, it's going to start to feel a little bit cool, right? You just get that kind of balancing out. You get adjusted to it, and suddenly it's like when I first moved to Honolulu, it's like I'd be hanging out with people there, and they're like, oh, "Man, it's cold." I'm like, "What are you talking about, dude? It's 75 degrees. It's brilliant." I'm like, t-shirt and shorts. I'm like, "This is perfect," and everybody's like bundled up. Like a year later, 75 degrees. I'm like, "Where's my sweatshirt?" Put that on. Actually, I didn't do that too much because I was from the East Coast, so like it was like a point of pride not to do that. Like I was like, I can handle it. I can. I mean, I'd be freezing my butt off, and I was like, I can handle it. I'm a man. You try to show off for the girls, that kind of thing. Power Plant says, when I lived in China, they didn't drink anything ice cold. Even in the fridge section, drinks were just cool, not cold. Ooh, that's interesting. I didn't know much about. I don't know much about like Chinese culture, like how they live there. But that sounds. I mean, I'm curious. I wonder. I wonder what it is about these different cultures that like they don't necessarily need to have things very cold. Is it that I don't know? Maybe we just go to extremes here in the United States, right? Nobody says Northern Alabama. Oh, Northern Alabama. Okay, is okay. Much slower, much slower than I'm used to. Where we live, weather is more intense, whatever it may be, from the rest of Alabama. Haven't gotten used to. Oh, so like you got more snow than the rest of Alabama, like that kind of extreme and northern is northern where because Alabama is a big like NASA state, right? Is that are they is Huntsville in North? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know much about the South. I have not gone to. I've stayed away from the South, right? To be quite honest, I've always felt that the South is not safe. So I've been like, well, you could have that part of the country. I can roam the rest of the country. Proplan says they have their own TC ideas on food. I don't know what that means. Paige is with us. Good morning to you, Paige. How are you? And the San Francisco Bay Area is quite nice in the summer. It is, I agree. But the crown jewels of California are Carmel, San Diego, and Napa. Oh, yeah, that's true. I can agree with that. Carmel. I used to stay at a place by, there's a little teeny tiny town next to Carmel called Carmel by the Sea. And actually, I looked it up a couple of years ago. There's a little tiny B&B that I used to stay at Carmel by the Sea that's still there. I don't remember the name of it. And then in Napa, I used to stay at a place many years ago called the Inn at Randolph on Randolph Street, like in downtown Napa. That was very nice too. And then I have been to the San Diego. I'm supposed to. Well, the coffee trade shows next month in San Diego. I don't know if I'm going yet still. But San Diego's nice. I don't really go to San Diego very often, mostly to LA. If I'm down in Southern California, usually to LA. Naomi says they say cold drinks are bad for your body. It's probably why we don't live long in America. Like let's say Japanese people, right? They like live to over 100. Here we don't. We live what 72? That's a bad thing. Along the line of Huntsville. Oh, okay. So super windy and super hot. We're also prone to that's terrible. Tornadoes. I'm not a big fan of tornadoes. Power plant says warming is what we would call inflammation. Gotcha, gotcha. And China has strong beliefs in their traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, gotcha, which is rooted in food choices. Hot things cool you, cold things are warming, and warming is bad. Interesting. I wonder why cold things warm you. Why? Oh, because I guess because the cold liquid, I'm presuming this, the cold liquids, tend to dive the temperature of the body, right? So the body will compensate by getting warmer. Oh, huh. That's interesting. I never really thought about that. I mean, I know Western medicine tends to like downplay Chinese medicine, but it's like hard to like downplay something that people have been doing for 10,000 years. Like they're still around 10,000 years later. We're still here, babies. Can't be all wrong. Oh, I see what you're saying. Now I get the warming is what we would call inflammation. Oh, it's kind of like my gout. Payne says, I'll give up my ice cold water and beverages when they're and your hands will be cold and dead because the body has been trying to warm it and we keep chilling it down and so it just gives up. And that's terrible. What a terrible way to go. All right, so maybe we should do one more. I'm going to try one more espresso. We're going to because I feel like I've been a little bit light on the dosage. That's why probably we get a little more of this brightness. So let's do one more round. I'm going to really try to compact more coffee into it and see if that boosts or downplays the brightness, right? So let's go back here. Again, good. There's a good amount of coffee in here, right? But I do think that, if you remember the previous two shots, it would come out well, start off well, and then it would start to get loose really suddenly. So I think we could get a little bit more coffee. Look at that, nice and clean. Let's rinse that out just in case. The rinsing out is not necessarily to clean the interior of the basket, but more to clean the bottom. See, that's not even that clean. So we're just going to wipe that off. That could, that could lead to, off flavors. But you know what? To sit there and have to worry about cleaning the bottom of your basket, maybe that's just too precious, too much work to do just for your home shop. Okay, now we're going to fill it up. I've got a little bit of boulders there. You see the boulders, they break really easily. So now we got too much coffee. This is way too much. So we're just going to try to move it around a little bit. See, that's a big mound. Now I'm going to get rid of some of that mound. Just like that. Maybe just groom it just a little bit back. Look at how messy this is. It's terrible. Okay, there it is. And now we're going to pull the shot. All right, so starting off nice. Let's see if we can get it to last longer. A little bit of wavering. Looks like it's starting to pick up speed. Oh yeah, see how it's starting to turn a little bit blonde there? That's way. It could be that the coffee is just, this is still the same coffee that we've had for like how many weeks now? So things have not changed. We have not changed the coffee. So it's still the same coffee we've been using for, I don't know, the last month or so. But we're actually at the very end of the quantity of this coffee. But, here's what this could show that we're still getting nice crema. And to me, this is part of the factors that go into like what would make a pleasurable espresso. Is it good crema, good thickness, good flavor? the flavor's not bad, right? Like the flavor has not been bad. It's just been brighter than it has been. And perhaps this is where you can, this is perhaps the best exploration of a coffee is that as the coffee ages, it changes and you kind of roll with it because and it's an exploration of coffee. Now in a commercial environment, we would never have coffee this long. Like this coffee would have been gone weeks ago because you go through so much of it. So in a coffee in a professional environment, you get to be very your consistency is better because it takes you very narrow window of time to utilize all the coffee. But in this case, we get to experience the coffee over time and like see how it changes. But the crema is still very strong. Look at this. I'm like talking and it's not breaking. Like that is still a very nice looking shot. All right, let's have a taste. So there's that's totally different. That sharpness of the like the brightness is sharper here. This one, we compacted a little more coffee into it, and that has diminished the sharpness. It's also softened the coffee, right? Like it's a softer flavor, it's a softer sharpness. It still has some brightness to it, but it's softer. Actually, I like this less than these two. Like these have this sharp brightness to them that just kind of like it's like a statement, right? These are statements of like brightness. It's like uh, it's like it commands your palate, commands your attention. This one's softer. It's soft spoken. It's softer. It's just not as commanding. I like it less. Like I don't like that very much comparatively. Maybe if this had been the first shot of the day, pretty good. So perhaps in this case, putting that little bit extra didn't necessarily give us extra. It kind of, to me, it kind of diminished the experience, right? Like, it's like we have lost a step versus forwarding. Right? Mum's with us. Good morning to you, Mum. Naomi says, I revisited my OXO brewer and still love it. Oh, yeah, the OXO brewer is so nice. I like that. I think of the new brewers in the world, the OXO and the Hoop. I guess the Hoop is 2 years old, but in our world, that's still pretty new. Those two, I really like how simple they are. I think that the OXO is a little more complicated than of course the Hoop, but I think the nice things that newer brewers that are trying to make it simpler for the consumer to use, I think is an advance for quality coffee. Meaning that like, you know, I think that people are naturally turned off by things being more complicated than necessary, right? Like there's, trying to make very nice quality coffee requires a certain level of fussiness, right? You have to be a little bit fussy, and not everybody wants to be fussy. Like I know a lot of my friends who want to drink nice coffee, who like to drink especially my friends who think they're drinking nice coffee. Like, gosh, I know they don't watch this show, so I can say this kind of thing because they'll never know that I said this, but I will say this to their face. But my friends that think they make nice coffee, they take shortcuts because it's easier, right? And they don't necessarily want to go through all that rigmarole that someone like myself will go through. And no doubt there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like that's why I think that like, some of these newer birds, like the Hoop, especially the Hoop. Like I know some people don't like the Hoop. They're like, oh, maybe because it's too simplistic, right? I think that that's a great step forward because of its simplicity, because it's like all you have to do is add the water. You don't have to think, and the cleanup is fairly easy, right? Like I think that something like a French press is fairly simple to use too, but the cleanup's a pain in the butt. Like I don't like to clean them up. There's a lot of like brew methods that I don't enjoy cleaning, right? French press, vac pot, like those siphons are just like what a pain in the butt. Like both of those two are like some of the most painful things to clean. So it's like, why would you want to do that to yourself, right? AeroPress, you pop it out, you're relatively clean, right? Maybe wipe off the plunging end, right? Things like that are much nicer. Even like, you know, the OXO, also fairly easy to clean. Paige says, I need to get the OXO and try. Yeah, man, go just, they have it at Target. I know there's some issues by buying at Target, but you know, I bought mine because I had someone who years ago gave me a Target gift card. And I was like, well, I better use it. Somebody's already spent the money. Paige says, I haven't been able to add, I haven't been add into filter. I haven't been into the filter for the last several months, and I think it would fit the bill between filter and espresso. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, you know, I think it's nice to have multiple brew methods, right? Like, good morning to you, Russell, because you can have, you know, just a difference of exploration, right? Like you have, like you do espresso for however long, and you're like, okay, I'm tired of espresso, and then you do like, you know, your OXO or whatever, or you do like, you know, filter brew for a while. You're like, okay, I'm kind of bored with that, and then you do like your OXO. So I think it's nice to have a variety of brewers, just to like, you know, make a little bit of difference, right? In my personal life, I tend to just stick with the clever, mainly because it's easier. Like I don't have to think. Like I don't like to think. I don't want to think. I just put the coffee, I put the filter, put the coffee, put the water. Wait 3 minutes, put on top of the cup. Usually I'm making that because I'm going to the donut shop. So I put it into a thermal cup, drive to the donut shop, get a couple donuts, maybe three, go to the library, have a seat, and do some reading, have a donut, have coffee. Thank God the libraries aren't so like they were when we were children, when they were like, don't eat, don't do anything in the library. Now you can eat and have like, you know, whatever. Actually, I was thinking about going to this one carry-out restaurant next to one of the other branches of the library because the library parking is cheaper and easier. So park there, walk across the street, get the food, bring it into the library, eat while I'm reading. That sounds like a good idea. Paige says I have the clever. I really use it. I just find like the clever is not necessarily the most expressive brewer, right? And I don't necessarily. I think where the clever is the level of convenience, right? For me, like I said, I set the clever down, put the filter in, put the coffee in, add the hot water, put the lid on, and I really walk away. I'm doing something else, you know, getting the thermal mug, planning my trip to the donut shop. That's really what I'm doing the rest of those 3 minutes, right? Because I'm just like, you know, go to the bathroom. Like I don't have to sit there and do anything. And so with any kind of brewing method, there is a level of compromise involved, right? As far as, you know, ultimate expression of the coffee, right? Like if I want ultimate expression of the coffee, typically then I'll use the vac pot, the siphon, right? Because I think that it offers a very clean brew, as clean and clear a brew of the coffee as I can make it compared to like a cupping session, right? I think it's a wonderful way to express the coffee. And like at Spro, when we would do like our most expensive coffees, we always brewed them in the vacuum pot, the siphon, as the default method of brewing. Partially because it has to me, it has the greatest clarity, the greatest presentation, but more importantly, it also has the greatest theatrics, right? Like if you're paying $15 for a coffee, like you want a little bit of presentation, right? And if I put it into a clever and I just pour the water and put the lid on, what? Right? But if I'm sitting there with this grand setup of like, you know, infrared lighting and like, you know, we're like swirling the coffee and like timing it perfectly, you get, oh, this is special. This is a coffee event, right? That's kind of part of the reason why we would do it that way, but also because it did have a very clear. But for me, it's like I said, it's about compromise. So for me, with personal brewing, for let's say the donut run to the library, I just need a decent coffee to accompany my donuts, right? Typically the House Nation, which is just a nice, approachable coffee, not a wildly expressive coffee, right? I just want approachable and enjoyable, rounded coffee. And the clever is wonderful for that. And I think that's where, you know, for me, that's what I want. And I don't want to, like I know I've said this many times over, but when I'm making coffee for myself, I don't really want to sit there and do all this precious brewing. Like I just want to like have it ready. Powerplant says Clever is the easiest, best brewer for most people. I can agree with that. I can agree with that. Paige says, I just use my Mocha Master for, oh, well, the Mocha Master is a solid way to brew. That's a great way to go. Like my Mocha Master is still in a box. So like I'll bust it out and use it, and then I'll put it back in the box. So it's a pain in the butt for me to get out. And then they would take up space. And I was just, God, this, you know, and again, there's always compromises. And those are the compromises, right? Naomi says, I always want to try the Mocha Master. The Mocha Master is, I think, a very nice brewer. I do think that the Olsen, from Simply Good Coffee, is a very close facsimile of the Mocha Master. Like it is heavily, stylistically, it blends heavily from the Mocha Master. The quality of the brew is very similar. I think if you wanted Mocha Master-ish kind of coffee without the Mocha Master price, it's a good way to go. If you can find the Mocha Master cheaply, or even look at Facebook Marketplace, like you can find it on there probably relatively inexpensively. Like I said, I don't know if I said that, but I got my Mocha Master from Williams-Sonoma because one day I happened to be at Williams-Sonoma and they were, you know, they have a section of Williams-Sonoma that's their clearance aisle. And every time I'm at Williams-Sonoma, I always go there. I was like looking inside the clearance section. What do we have here? What do we have? So I'll go there. And one day I just happened to go there and they had it they had a Mocha Master, the one that I have, in the clearance section, like discounted to like 200 some, $50 or something like that. And since I belong to the Pro Chef program at Williams, I get also an additional like 20% off. And I was like, does this compound? They're like, yeah. It's like, oh, perfect. So I got it for like $215, I think was the total amount I paid for it. So I was like, oh, that's better than wholesale. I can't beat that. So I was like, let me buy that. So I bought it. And I've used it a few times. It's good. It's good. If you can get a good deal on it, it's definitely worth it. Maybe look around some of the Goodwills and things like that, because you never know, people like are going to donate to Goodwill and those kind of places. Sometimes you find great items. Most recently, I was like, you know, since I'm more svelte than I used to be, I've been like looking for cheap clothes because, you know, I'm fearful that if I buy clothes, then I'm going to, you know, hopefully become more svelte, and then I'm going to need to buy more clothes. I'm like, oh, it's kind of cheap. So I went to this one Goodwill that's kind of in a fancy area. Not really a fancy area. I never thought it was a fancy, but it must be kind of fancy because a lot of the brands that they had on sale at the Goodwill were kind of fancy. So, you know, you get Polo Ralph Lauren jeans, $7. I was like, $7. I got like a shirt, a Barbour shirt for like $7. I was like, $7? $7 for a shirt? Barbour? All right. Little Tattersall short sleeve. Ooh, might have to wear that today. Powerplant says, I've been testing out the new Hario Neo and the origami pin dripper. Ooh, that sounds good. And then isn't isn't the Hario Switch similar to the Clever? The Hario Switch is similar to the Clever in that it's a full immersion brewer with a filter and a valve. I mean, really, there's no, I don't think there's any difference, right? Like, there's no difference. They're totally going to give you equivalent coffee experiences, right? Like I have both. I mean, we could probably do a head to head. I don't think there's going to be any difference between the two, mainly because you're going to use the same technique. Now, where there may be a difference, okay, so maybe there could be a difference. So we take the Clever. Maybe we can do an episode of this, try this out. But Clever, actually, let me write this down. Clever versus I don't even know. I can see it right there. Switch. Clever versus Switch. Okay. Here's my theory on that. Right? My theory is that there could be the variance between the two will be in the orifice. Had to use the word. How fast that orifice will allow the liquid to flow through once you've opened the valve. I think that's where the variance is going to lie between the two. My theory. And Power Plant says they are pretty good, meaning the Neo and the origami pin may not bin them immediately. Yeah, bin them later. At some point, they all go to the bin, right? And Peter's with us. Hold on, Peter, man. How are you? Good to see you. I had a Vietnamese coffee recently. Gave me the biggest headache. Oh, must be the Robusta beans. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Was that in Vietnam or were you still in Australia? Power Plant says one good point about living in less populated areas is that I can buy the new coffee stuff at Tokyo Hands without worrying about it. You don't realize this, but you know how much that hurts to read? That you can just go to Tokyo Hands and buy. I dream of Tokyo Hands. I dream of Tokyo. Those of you who may not be familiar, Tokyo Hands is a department store in Japan. And I didn't know that there were so many of them. Because I think you're in more of that southwestern Japan, so it's relatively, I've only been to Tokyo. I've only been to Tokyo Hands in Tokyo. And it's Tokyo with the U at the end instead of Tokyo. I don't know what the difference, but Tokyo. But anyway, it's more, the best way that I would describe it, it's kind of like a craft-minded department store thing. It's this huge department store, right? Multi-levels, and each level has different stuff. They have pens and pencils and writing pads in one section. They've got crafts, all kinds of crafts, whatever you're interested in. They've got home goods stuff. They've got what I'll buy there. They've got kitchen supply, and they've got a crazy good coffee selection, right? You go there, you're like, oh my God. Every time I go there, it's like I can't buy enough. I cannot have enough. I cannot have enough money, and I do not have enough money, and I do not have enough luggage space, right? Even if I go to Don Quixote and I buy the $80 luggage, I still don't have enough. I got 3 check-ins from my United account. I can check in 3 full-size bags, still not enough. I can't. I gotta have clothes, so I can't fill everything. But if you ever get to go to Japan, Tokyo Hands, I just love it there. I'm buying pencils and orange colored pens, and then I'm buying metric tape measures because I need metric tape measures, which I use a ton. I use almost exclusively metric now. This whole imperial thing of I need to divide fractions is just why am I subjecting myself to such mental misery when I can just take 224 gram or millimeters and cut it in half and get 112 millimeters, right? It's easy, instead of whatever the equivalent in, my friends are why are you doing that? Because it's easier, dude. Can't you think? No, I don't want to think. I don't want to think that hard. So if you ever get a chance to go to Japan, Tokyo Hands, especially for coffee, man, you will love it. You will love it. You'll be like, oh God, this is great. It's just crazy there. Paige says, I got my Mocha Master on sale for, that's a good deal. That's a hell of a good deal. See? There you go, Naomi. Keep your eyes open for the deals. And it's always those things, they'll come around. You just got to be patient, right? Just got to wait. It may take you a year, but at some point, it took me good 15, 20 years before that deal came around. And I was like, oh, there it is. I'm buying it. Peter says, I'm thinking of hiking Indonesia this year. Ooh, that sounds great. And make a video on the plantation. You should totally make that video. Would totally love to see that. Totally. Naomi says, why do you choose the clever over? So why do I choose? No, here's the reason why. Because the clever I have is leftover from the shops. It is well worn, it is tattered and torn, and it sits in the kitchen. The switch sits in a box here, in another box. And the clever is old and busted. Not busted, but it's old. It's well worn. So why the clever switch? Only because it's more convenient, and only because I keep it in the kitchen. There is, to me, there's, I mean, like, plus also if I drop the clever, which this clever has been dropped quite a few times in commercial production, the switch has very thick glass, so it would take a lot of beating. But on my porcelain on my ceramic, not porcelain, on my ceramic tile in the kitchen, it would probably break if I dropped it. Where the clever, it might crack. The crack may leak. I could probably use like cyanoacrylate glue on it, and it would seal it up enough to continue. So no real necessary reason for it. If you have the switch, use the switch. But I just have more brewers than anyone should ever need in their home. So that's why. That's why. No real reason. Power plant says, I like the Espresso press as well, but cleaning is not great. Oh, that sound. Yeah, the cleaning is always like sometimes I wonder, like, are you guys like, do you designers like get off on like making it difficult to clean? Like, make it easy to clean. Why, yeah, I'm totally with you on that. Clever is cheaper. Clever is cheaper. That's true. It's like $30 versus what, 65, I think, for the switch. Naomi says, I found the SS Espresso press at the Goodwill for $8. Whoa. Came home and ordered a new filter. It's messy. Man, but I do like it. See, that's great. See, that's what you need. That's why you should go to the Goodwill, like look for the deals. Look for the deals. Because there's probably somebody out there that bought it that, like, in that case, probably hated it. It was like, it is too messy to clean. I'm just going to donate it and get rid of it. Naomi says, clever cheaper because it's plastic. Yes. And Hardy Switch is glass. I mean, it's plastic. The other one's glass. Made in China, so cheaper manufacturing. I mean, it's cheaper all the way around. Like, it's always been cheaper. Like, now it's like $30, which to me is kind of expensive because I think we used to retail it for 20 10 years ago. And I was like, 20 was a good price. Like, we sold quite a lot of clevers because it was at a really great price point and easy to use. Peter says, in Vietnam, cheap street coffee is extremely adulterated with fillers, not fit for you. Oh, that sounds. Oh, so you were in Vietnam. Okay. Yeah, that doesn't sound very pleasant. I would like to visit Vietnam and see some of these like classic Vietnamese coffee joints. Power plant says, my clever was stained dark brown, almost black before I broke it by dropping it. Oh, wow. Mine is pretty dark. Not very, very dark, but there's definitely staining. Shattered all over the floor. Wow, really? Gosh. Mine are not that brittle. Like, when I think of shattering plastic, I think of Festool, right? Festool, like old Festool vacuums from like 20 years ago are very brittle. Like, I bought one used. It's very brittle, so we kind of got to be a little bit ginger with it. I didn't buy it. I got it for free. But that's one problem with some of these older plastics is that they get very brittle over time, and like they're just basically time bombs waiting to go off. Peter says, I'll private message you some by non-pub. Please do. I would love to see that. I would love to see that. I would give me your opinions. Here's the interesting thing. Like, I was watching a video recently. I saw a video recently. I don't remember what the topic was. Maybe it was on woodworking, because that's pretty much all that I watch. But I remember I was watching it and I was thinking, no, it wasn't that. I was watching Star Trek, Starfleet Academy, the most recent episode. Is that right? The 8th episode, not the most recent, the 8th episode, I think it was. And there was a scene where maybe it was the last episode. Yeah, the one with Tilly, I think it was. And I remember I'm watching it and I'm like, because I've been in this YouTube world for quite a few years now. And in YouTube, if you're watching YouTube creator videos, they talk about like cinematic. And if you watch something like what's her name? Life of Riza. I really like her stuff. Life of Riza, she's kind of cinematic too, right? Like she does this like very thought out kind of shoots for her videos, for her vlog style videos. Very stylistically done. There's a scene in Starfleet Academy where they use extreme close-ups, like super like close. Is that right? Was it Starfleet? Yeah, it was Starfleet Academy. The last one. It was the last one. These super extreme close-ups. Oh, when Caleb meets his mom for the first time in like decades, like it's super intense, and they do these super tight close-ups. And I saw one review video where they're like, it's too tight. It's like, no, 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 dude, that is. And I remember I'm sitting there in my chair watching. I was like, and I was like, that is what that's cinematic. Like that's what it's about, right? Like it's so immersive and so like. And honestly, in the YouTube world, you kind of lose that. You lose track because it doesn't demand that kind of work, right? Like it's like, and also the big difference is with like, let's say Starfleet Academy or something like that, or any kind of produced show like that, is that, they're shooting, it takes like 3 weeks to, whatever long it takes to shoot that. It takes a long time to do your setups and shoot that. And like, you take your time to get that shot, and you really are thinking. And the director, like on those kind of shows, the director is different for every episode, so that director is thinking about every shot, storyboarding the script to figure out the shots and what kind of coverage they want to take. Whereas in YouTube world, we're just trying to like get whatever coverage we can. Like in my world, it's like 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 it's like there's a balance between like setups and shoot time, right? Like the more setups you do, the longer it takes. Like, for example, you ever watch those like behind the scenes videos where they talk about like, we shot this like fight scene, this like 45-second fight scene. It took us a week to shoot it because it takes so much time to get the angles and get everything set up and do it all. And you've got a crew of like, massive number of people to do that. So, but I remember I was watching Starfleet Academy. I was like, God, that's cinematic. That is what it's about. So I would be happy to see that and at least give you whatever thought I might be able to give you. But it really reminded me those two shots reminded me of like, man, you don't always have to be so wide. Like getting in tight can be super compelling and like super like detail oriented. It's like, damn. I was like, man, that's awesome. I was like, God, that's good. Propman says, I got my cover for $15 from Sweet Maria's. Oh, man, that was a long time ago. Peter says, I shouldn't edit everything off my phone. Here's the thing, but like the phone, right? The phone, like I got the 15 Pro Max, right? When I got the 15, I decided I was just going to, they're like, AT&T's like, you don't have to pay for it all. You can pay it for the next 2 years. I'm like, well, why not? Let's just go whole hog, 1 gigabyte, give me the full power, and I'll use that. And I don't use anywhere near the capabilities most of the time, but there is some nice capability. But like the phone, we always like, people can be very dismissive about the phone. Like, oh, it's just a phone. But if you think about people like Robert Rodriguez, right? And Robert Rodriguez, if you're not familiar, he's a filmmaker that became famous in the 90s for a movie called El Mariachi. He shot El Mariachi using a 16 millimeter film camera. And he shot it for like $16,000. He had this small, tiny budget. And he had this like cheap, like, I don't know what he used. Maybe he used an Arri 16 or something like that. I forgot exactly what he used. He wrote a book about it. But he built a whole career off of that little teeny tiny film. And this camera is exponentially better than that 16. Like on a technical level, I mean, like, and like you shoot film. In the old days, you shoot film, you've got to process the film. Right. So here's the thing: you shoot your film, right? And you think you know what you got. Right. This is why I like when it comes to like YouTube world and people like we're filming, like that grates on me so much. You are not filming. We are not filming anything. I have filmed stuff, but we are not filming anything today, right? And here's the thing. So when you shoot on film, 16 or 35 or even 8mm, you set your exposure, you set up your shot, and you think you got it. You don't really know. You hope you got it. You pray to God that you spent all this time and money and effort and you got what you wanted to shoot. Then you send that film to the processor. That processor processes the film and makes that film into a negative. In order for you to watch that, you have to have the processor print you a positive, right? So they print you a positive. Now, each of these steps costs you money, right? To process the film, the negative, you have to pay for that. To print that negative into a work print. So there's a work print so they do like lower resolution or just easier, faster way of doing it instead of high quality negative. You make that into a work print and that costs you money. Then you can finally take that work print and project it to see what did you get. And God knows, until you see that projected on the screen in the screening room, you really don't know what you got. Like you hope to God that it worked, right? But if you messed up, like if your camera crew messed up and there's like a tiny speck of dust on the gate inside behind the lens there's a gate, right? The gate has the shutter. It also like controls the flow of the film by the sprockets. If there's a speck of dust that's on the emulsion side. So there's two sides of the film, right? There's the glossy side and there's the emulsion side that has the actual silver and whatever that you actually expose to create the image. If there's something large in that gate that causes a scratch, you've got a scratch running through the entire negative. And you don't know until you actually project it 2 or 3, 4 days later, maybe a week later, depending on your schedule. So you got no idea. Like you're just quite honestly, you're just shitting yourself. You're like, God, we hope to God it's work because reshoots will cost you tremendous amounts of money and scheduling difficulties, right? Because you've got to go back to, if you're shooting on location, you're going to go back to location. And who knows what they've done to the location by that point, depending how far it is, right? So the nice thing about these is that you see everything that you're shooting. Like you know exactly what you got. And you know, once you shoot it, it's yours. You download it, you put in your editor, and God, it's so much easier. Like if you had to sit there and do like film editing in the old days, like that was just, I mean, that's the only way we did it, right? You sat there on a moviola, vertical moviola, or you had like a Steenbeck, a flatbed Steenbeck, and you're splicing, footage, and you're splicing the film and the tape track together. Well, you put on magnetic film at that point, but you're splicing them, you cut them and splice them together to try to like assemble it. And then you keep, very close logs on what you're cutting so you know where you are. Because at some point, if you like that cut, you have to reassemble that with the negative. And so it's a whole, but what I mean to say by all this is that don't dismiss the phone. The phone is super powerful. This is such an amazing tool. Like this is like, it's awesome. Like to shoot. And then now you've got these controls. Like, I don't know if you use and I don't use this very often. Right? I should probably use it more, but there's an app called Blackmagic Cam, right? Like this thing is just epic. Like it controls where this falls down, right? Like you can control most parameters. Where the phone falls down is that you cannot control aperture, which just drives me insane. Like, and I get it because when you think of the physical limitations, like these little lenses, they don't really have aperture. Like they can only have very small aperture, right? So everything has to be electronically controlled. Like that's why when you're shooting with these cameras, like you go to portrait mode and it blurs everything, right? The aperture is so small. The smaller the aperture on a lens, the greater depth of field, meaning that the depth of field that you have in focus will be very great. Like if you're f/22, pretty much everything's going to be in sharp focus, right? But a lot of people don't want that. You want to have that kind of like blurred around the subject matter. You can only get that with shallow, you can only get shallow depth of focus with a wide open aperture, like 1.8 or less. These can't do that. They just don't have that kind of latitude. So they have to do that electronically. So, but I think, man, it's awesome stuff. Like I think it's cool. Power Plant says Casey Neistat changed the game for YouTube. Casey brought a whole nother style of like storytelling to YouTube for sure. Agreed. Neistat's style is still the standard to which most YouTube movies follow. Oh, I remember when the Canon 5D Mark II came out and everyone started using DSLR focus effects for everything. And maybe the peak for cinema style videos. But I wonder, like, I remember when the 5Ds and all those, because I had the 60D when it came out. And those are great because those are nice because they allowed you to use DSLR type of cameras with the old EF type lenses. So you could have that kind of, you know, variable aperture and variable focus. So those are really like, those were game changers back then. Like now you've got the cameras like this is the Sony ZV-1, and they've got newer versions of this, but this one, for the style of shooting that I do, this has plenty of latitude. Like I've got like a fancy like FX30. I never use that FX30. Like I need to use it. I need to use it more. I bought it because I was like, I'm gonna make really nice videos, but really it's just such a big camera to carry around. And then if you rig it up as a cinema camera, it's like, who's gonna operate it? Like I don't know. It's like I kind of wish I didn't buy it. I should have bought something cheaper. But there's a point where you're like, I gotta have the baddest stuff. It's like, what a mistake. Peter says, video shooting is a storage eating cookie monster. My problem, oh yeah, that is. I've got hard drives and hard drives, man. I got a 13 terabyte hard drive right now. That's like, I'm like, man, I need to buy another. I need to buy another hard drive. I've been buying for archival stuff. Like I bought this the last time, for $80 at Best Buy here. Like I'm sure they have something similar in Australia. That 13 gigabyte drive, I use it for archiving stuff, just to everything that I finished on YouTube, I put to that drive. And that one, yeah, it was like $80, 13 terabytes. Now, of course, it's probably like a 5,300 RPM drive, so it's not terribly fast. Like it's not very good if you really need to edit with it. Although, I have cut videos with a couple clips from that drive. So it will assemble from that. So it's not ideal, but you don't always have to have a 10,000 RPM drive, or you don't have to have everything be the fully SSD type of drive. Proplan says, yeah, it's weird that SD cards have seemed to, I mean, I don't mind. I don't necessarily the biggest I use for these cameras is 128 gigabytes. And even then, I'm kind of leery. I think I had one point a 256, or I had I either had a 256 or a 128, and I had a major error on it, and I lost everything on it. So I was like, God, that is just terrible. So mostly, I try to use 64 gigabyte drives and just have a bunch of them with me when we're out in the field, because it's just if I have any loss is difficult, but it's not as catastrophic. If you have only 128 or 256 cards and you shoot everything on those and you have a loss of one of those, it's much more catastrophic than losing 164 card. It's more inconvenient because you're changing the cards out more. So it's always one of those things where you kind of have to balance your compromise, much like the Clever. Power Plant says, I always wanted those Swiss-made Noctilux F1.2s. Ooh, I've actually never seen one. I used to have a little tiny Swiss-made Minox. I don't know what happened to it. Peter says, backup. Oh, yeah, man, the backups. That's why I try to keep everything backed up here on the computer. And then once I start to hear any kind of clicking, then it's time to replace the drive. Then I try to replace the drive. It's got to get rid of that drive. Yeah, that's always important. All right. Oh man, we had Hershey's, Espresso, a little bit about Clever, and a little bit about YouTube video shooting. But yeah, Peter, send me a message when you got a chance. I'd love to see those videos and share with whatever thoughts I could with you. All right. Now time to get back to work. So hope you have a wonderful night or day or morning, wherever you are in the world. Thanks for hanging out with me as always. Good to see all of you. Back again tomorrow with more of the Coffee Q&A. So until then, have a great one and see you now.